Hello and welcome to my channel. It's the Network Specialist. Please like this video, subscribe to my channel, and hit that notification bell so that you know each and every time I upload a video. Everything I will discuss is alleged and in my very own opinion, used for entertainment purposes only. Today I will be doing a recap of Married to Medicine, Season 11, Episode 13, This Ain't the Playground. Okay? And before I get started, can I get a one in the chat if you guys can hear me? Can I get a one in the chat if you can hear me? Hey, Mama Bees, thank you so much for being here, sis. And thank you so much for modding for my channel. I really do appreciate you. Hey, Sharon Godbolt, thank you so much for being here. Alrighty. So I do have my one, so I'm going to go ahead and get started because there is a lot to unpack here. And sometimes it's going to seem like my opinion of certain cast members is going to change. But basically, I'm just speaking on what I see as I see it. Okay. So some things might change. I don't know any of these people. So, I'm definitely neutral in the situation and, nothing's personal. Okay. So, Dr. Heavenly invited Quad to come over and they had a conversation about what's going on, and Dr. Heavenly asked Quad, was she traumatized from the couples trip? And I thought that was quite strange because she's the one that started all the mess. Okay. So um then she did let her know that Latoya is having an event, and asked her if she was going to be there. And she did say, with the, everything that's going on, she has to protect herself, and King as well. And Dr. Heavenly, I mean, who are you? Who gave you the authority to determine that Sweet Tea and Greg need some time away? Because that's pretty much what she said. She made the statement that Sweet Tea and Greg need some time away. So I don't know who put her in charge, but that's what she had to say during their conversation. Okay. And, I'm going to tell you what somebody told me, and it definitely applies to Dr. Heavenly. That bitch ain't happy unless she's telling somebody what to do and acting like she's in charge. Okay. So now I would be lying if I said that Toya doesn't have great parties. But these outlandish party themes are a bit too much at times. Now, I do like this, upcoming party idea that she has because it's kind of classy, and, they get to dress up in that time frame and, take some dancing classes or whatever. So I'm okay with this particular party theme. I wasn't okay with the Birkin party. That was a little weird for me, but I'm okay with this one. And basically, her party theme is the Victorian era. But for me, it just seems like a lot of work coming up with what you're going to wear to this party. So it seems like her party ideas, you know, are a bit challenging when trying to find something to wear for these parties. So, Quad put together a girlfriends check-in, and I think it's just Quad's way to make sure that all of the ladies in the group are still team Quad. Okay, because after the last episode, it feels like people have to kind of pick sides. So she wanted to host this girls check-in so that she can make sure that everybody was still on her team, even though we all know that they're not her real friends. So honestly, I think that what this shows is missing is real, genuine friendships, which, in my opinion, is the concept that Mariah had for this show. And at this point, it's nothing like her what the idea that she pitched to the network. Even if they had, the occasional disagreement, this show would be so much better if it was based on true and authentic friendships. So Toya gets the group together for a Bridgerton themed dance lesson to bring the group together. And of course, everyone was there except for Sweet Tea, Dr. G, and Quad and King. So this was their opportunity to kind of speak on the situation and how they felt about what happened after the fact with Dr. G supposedly calling the police. So for once, I actually agreed with Dr. Heavenly that they should not occupy the same space, meaning Dr. G and Sweet Tea and Quad and King. At least not until Quad and Dr. G does the work and get the healing that they need. Maybe after then they can come together, but for right now, you know, it's just not a good idea. So when it comes to my opinion about whether or not Dr. G should have called the police and filed an attempted assault charge on King, um, I would say I have to agree with the group. If he never actually touched you, you should just have let the situation go and just choose not to be in the same space because King has a business too, and your profession does not override his business. And I feel like Dr. G could have handled the situation differently, just like King. And I also feel like Dr. G is not taking any accountability. And that's not me taking sides because they were both wrong. But King did come back and apologize and say that he went too far. And it just seems like if he did call the police, because at this point, we're not really sure if he did or not. That was a punk ass move. It's like you hate Quad that much that you would want to see her man go to jail just to get back at Quad. And Mama B says, it seems like they are trying to ice Sweet Tea and Greg, period. That's what it's coming off as, Mama B's. And Sharon says, I hate that Bravo is letting Heavenly's evil, messy eight run this show. In my opinion, she will be the downfall of this show. And it appears that Simone has joined the Mean Girls group. Yeah, um, Simone has always been a part of the Mean Girls group. It's just like Dr. Simone, Dr. Jackie, they want to pull rank. They feel like, for whatever reason that they control the show, them in heaven. So, and I only say this about Dr. G, that wasn't the right move because from what everyone said that was, there at the couples trip, they said that King did not make contact with Dr. G. Now, let me ask you guys this. Does it make a difference whether or not he actually made contact? Because that's my determining factor. If he had made contact, I feel like Dr. G had every right to call the police. But everyone who was there said that no contact was made. So that changes everything, in my opinion. What do you guys think? So I thought that the conversation that Toya and Mimi had with Sweet Tea was fair. I thought Toya and Mimi made some good points, but so did Sweet Tea. Okay. So basically, Toya was trying to say, do you actually want to be a part of this friend group? And basically, what Sweet Tea was saying was that it's up to you, Toya. If you want to pick sides, you can pick sides. So that's basically what Sweet Tea was saying. And Mimi kind of agreed with Toya and felt like neither Dr. G or Sweet Tea was taking any accountability. Mama B says, not to me. He had no right to come at him in a threatening manner. Okay, so whether he made contact or not, Mama B's, you feel like he was dead wrong and that Dr. G should have called the police. I think that's what you're saying. Hey, Cece, thank you so much for being here, sis. So, what I'm getting from the conversation that Sweet Tea had with Toya and Mimi is that she doesn't trust them. Okay. She doesn't trust Toya and Mimi enough to share her personal thoughts with them. And if it were Dr. Contessa, I think she would have been more open and more transparent and talked about her true feelings. Hey Q27 and she said, I have a question. Could King press charges on Sweet Tea because she did the same thing as King? That's a good question. It is definitely a good question. Um, and that's why I said, for me, in my opinion, if he didn't actually make any contact, then I don't believe any police should have been called and he shouldn't have filed charges because at the end of the day, all of these people are professionals, okay? So it's not worth somebody going to jail and risk losing their job and their integrity. And Sharon said Dr. G saw him as a threat. He did see him as a threat, but Dr. G had a lot to say as well. So King could have felt the same way as Dr. G. And I know you guys, I've taken up for Dr. G and Sweet Tea a lot. And I'm still Dr. G and Sweet Tea. I'll say about 75%. Like, I get their relationship. Let's say that. Hey, Aries Girl Podcast. Thank you so much for being here, sis. Hey, Shalita Coburn. Thank you so much for being here. She says Dr. G should have watched his smart mouth. So that's why, I say that they both need to be held accountable because Dr. G did too much. Quad definitely did too much. And I felt like King did too much. So I believe that all of them have some accountability when it comes to everything that went down. And I feel like, to be honest, King is the only one that has taken accountability for his actions. So at this point, Dr. G is making jokes. He made this whole song about how he just wished Quiet would leave him alone. Why couldn't he have this same attitude when they were at the couples retreat? You know what I'm saying? Just make a joke out of it. We have since found out that he was going through a lot right before they went on that couples trip. Somebody had physically attacked him at his job. I think he had to leave his job. He decided to part ways with one of his jobs. So he was going through a lot. And I think that that's what kind of made him react the way that he did. But I mean, even being the professional that he is, he should have had a better way to deal with the situation. Hey, Melanin Beauty, thank you so much for being here. So, now he's able to laugh about the situation, joke about the situation, make songs about the situation. And honestly, he did say that he called the police, and the guys were right for calling him out on the fact that King never touched him. Okay. And again, Quad did insinuate that, the police were called, but I'm not really sure if that's just a part of their storyline because honestly, I'm not sure that the police were even called, to be honest. I just think it's a part of the storyline. for both of the couples. So again, Quad got the girls together for a girlfriend's check-in. And, again, I felt like it was just a way to ensure that the ladies were still Team Quad. So King apologizing and saying that he went too far shows that he's taking accountability, like unlike Dr. G. So that's why I'm kind of neutral on the situation, until I get more evidence that the police were actually called. Because again, that's still a gray area for me. So although 75%, in support of Sweet Tea and Dr. G, I agree that Sweet Tea left Toya no choice but to have to choose between inviting Quad and King or Sweet Tea. I'm sorry, inviting Quad and King and Sweet Tea and Dr. G to her event. And ultimately, Toya chose Quad and King because um Sweet Tea was being very evasive with the questions and how she felt about the whole situation. And Shalita said, I look at it as him wanting to throw Sweet Tea in Quad's face. He wants Quad to be broken down and not able to make it without him. Mm, okay. That's a good perspective, Shalita. And I don't know if I feel like they still have feelings for each other, but I definitely feel like they still have hate for each other that's unresolved. And Mama B said 7 likes and 10 in the chat. Please hit the like button, please, and thank you. And by Toya deciding to invite Quad and King, that actually shows growth in Toya, considering all of the stuff Quad has done to Toya and all of the things that Quad has said about Toya. So it seems like, Toya has had some growth and she's willing to accept Quad back in. Now, this is what I really want to know from you guys. And Shalita says that she agrees. This is what I really want to know from you guys. What is your opinion about the information that Phaedra knew about Apollo coming to the couples trip? Because everybody already know I don't really see eye to eye with Dr. Jackie a lot of times, but she did make some good and valid points. Phaedra did know that Apollo was coming because we seen that phone call play out on the show. Okay. And the part that we didn't see, so we can't really verify whether it's true or not, Dr. Heavenly said that when she mentioned to, you know, Phaedra that, he was coming and everything, and, that he could potentially bring his wife, Phaedra said with confidence, according to Dr. Heavenly, allegedly, that he would never do that. Like, he would never bring his wife to the couples trip. They have a pretty open line of communication, and she didn't feel like he would actually bring his wife. But maybe that changed after he found out about Phaedra dating his homeboy. So, y'all already know I love me some Phaedra, but I believe that it didn't play out the way that Phaedra wanted it to. I think Phaedra would have been okay with Apollo coming as long as he didn't bring Shireen. I think that threw a wrench in how Phaedra wanted this to play out. I think Phaedra definitely wanted to make her ex jealous, okay? But it didn't play out that way because he ended up bringing his wife. And Mama B said, until Quad comes after them again, and she will. Yes. Quad doesn't have a lot of filter. And Sharon said Quad is nobody's friend. Okay. And Mama B said she didn't say he was bringing his wife. So, um, Dr. Heavily told us that, you know, Phaedra told her that he wouldn't bring his wife. Like, I don't know why she would say that, and it hasn't been confirmed either way. But Dr. Heavenly feels like that Phaedra was very confident that he wouldn't bring his wife, but that changed. He ended up bringing her. So, what I feel about the visit from Dr. Jackie when she came to visit Phaedra, and basically she wanted to apologize to Phaedra for not being there for her because she said she felt really bad when Phaedra called her out to let her know that she didn't check on her. And I think she felt isolated at the couples trip. So I feel like Phaedra has moved on and she doesn't trust any of these ladies. Maybe Sweet Tea, and that's it. And I don't feel like, Phaedra wants to have anything to do with these ladies. She doesn't want to be in their presence. And honestly, I don't blame her because she doesn't have any friends on that show except for Sweet Tea. I don't think Contessa has anything against Phaedra, but they never got close enough to be friends. So honestly, the only friend that she has on that show is Sweet Tea, and the only friend that Sweet Tea has on that show that still remains is Dr. Contessa. So I don't know how this show is going to move forward because somebody has to be the villain for these reality TV shows to work out. And honestly, I don't think that Sweet Tea is coming back because who is she going to film with? I mean, she can't do all of her scenes with Dr. Contessa. And by the way, guys, I don't know if you've seen the video that Sweet Tea did with Dr. Contessa. I love their energy together. I think they are the only true, genuine friends on this show at this point because we can't even include Phaedra anymore because we all know that she's not coming back to the show. So, Mimi, I had real high hopes for Mimi, but it's looking like Mimi wants to stay on the show. So, I don't feel like she's going to side with Sweet Tea at this point, even though, just like Dr. Contessa said, Sweet Tea is the one that invited Mimi to the show. So now I think, and I'm sure she's not doing it intentionally, but it seems like she's joined forces with the Mean Girls. And Mama B says, how would they feel if their husband's side chick showed up? Dr. Jackie had a full meltdown last year when they just went to where her husband cheated on her. That is a good point. That is a good point. But with that being said, Mama Bees, all of that was on Dr. Heavenly. Dr. Heavenly is the one that invited Apollo, and she told Dr. Jackie and Dr. Simone after the fact. So they weren't involved in that whole process. It was Dr. Heavenly being messy as always. So they didn't find out and they didn't have a lot of details. So that's what I meant by Phaedra had more details than they did. So I think she made her decision on bringing whatever that guy's name is. He wasn't shown in the last episode, so I even forgot his name. Um, I think his name is Shaq. So, Phaedra knew the goings ons more than she led us to believe, and that's just my opinion. Phaedra should have called Dr. Heavenly out when she called her to let her know that Apollo was coming on the show. And that would have shut everything down. But she chose not to do that for some reason. And I feel like it's because she had her own ulterior motives, which was bringing Shaq to the couple's trip. Because keep in mind, she was on the last couple's trip as a single person. So, I think that Phaedra had ulterior motives. And I'm not saying that she was wrong for having ulterior motives. These girls have been so mean to her, especially what they did to her after she donated over $35,000 for their event. So she definitely needed to get some get back. So, I'm not saying all of this to say that Phaedra was wrong. You know what I'm saying? Because you get what you give. So I believe she was just giving them some of their same medicine. So I'm not mad at that at all. But with that being said, I don't believe that, when it comes to the Apollo thing, that that's the reason why she should be mad at this, the ladies in the group. She should be mad at Dr. Heavenly if that's what she chooses to do. But being mad at Dr. Simone and Dr. Jackie, like, I don't think that they were involved. So, I think that's misdirected anger. Okay. So at this point, she just need to just move on, don't be friends with these ladies because they don't have her best interest at heart, and just move on. She's going to be on the Real Housewives of Atlanta, which, guys, I think that is set to come back on tomorrow. Drop down in the chat and let me know if that's the date that you heard they're supposed to come back, because I will be reviewing that show. And Mama B says, I would ask them 304s to run me my money back. I know. So I definitely love everything that Phaedra did, leaving, on that private jet. I'm for all of it. But, I just don't like the narrative that she was clueless about the fact that Apollo was coming and that he could potentially bring Shireen. That's the only thing about the whole situation that I feel like Phaedra is not being totally honest about. But that never really came up. So we can't say whether she knew that Shireen was coming or not, or if she had the conversation with Apollo and she felt like he wouldn't bring, his wife. But whatever the case may be, after that scene, Apollo felt some kind of way because he does have to co-parent with Phaedra, and he's been trying to call Phaedra, but now she's also mad at Apollo too. And I'm pretty sure that has something to do with everything that Shireen said to her, because honestly, that trip would have went smoothly even with Apollo being there if Shireen had not come on that trip. I think everything would have went smoothly, and I feel like once Shireen was there and she seen the way that Apollo was acting towards Phaedra and Shek, she felt jealous. And that's why, after the fact, she went ahead and filed for a divorce. Because not only is Apollo a cheater, a criminal, you know, um, he could be, a different person at this point. I don't know. He still does some shady stuff, but he could potentially still be in love with his ex. So it's time, Shireen. It really is time for you to move on from Apollo, because he doesn't mean you any good, and it's time to just move on. But this episode, even though there was a lot to unpack, um, it said a lot about what needs to happen with this show. First off, Sweet Tea needs to leave the show. If she wants to have a baby, I think the stress of this show is not going to allow her to do that. Give me 1 second, guys. Okay. So, yes, she definitely needs to leave the show. And she kind of hinted that, mm, she kind of hinted that, she could potentially leave the show in her interview. Well, it wasn't an interview, in her sit down with Dr. Contessa, because she did say that, the military was paying for her in vitro or IVX, whatever you call that. So she's very excited about, having a baby. And I just don't think that this show is a good fit for what she's trying to do in her life right now. So hopefully she'll make that hard decision. I know that's going to be a hard decision, but Dr. G is running out of time. Like, they need to have a baby soon, okay? And I'm not sure. She said she should not want. I'm not sure what she's saying there. But yeah, and it's just kind of hard to predict how this show can move on, because I don't think that Mimi and her husband are going to bring a lot when it comes to drama. So unless one of the mean girls turn on each other, like, I just don't know what they're going to talk about, because none of the ladies on this show are willing to talk about their actual real lives except for Dr. Contessa. y- that's about it. And possibly Toya. So either this show is going to be very boring moving forward, or these ladies are going to have to start talking about their own lives to get people to want to watch this show. So I feel like Sweet Tea holds the ball in her hand, because in her court, because if she decides to leave the show, they'll have nobody to pick on, nobody to bully, and Phaedra's gone. So I don't know where it would leave that show. And Dr. Contessa has made it known that she's not going to allow any of these ladies to bully her. So they can't continue to bully Dr. Contessa. So unless they turn on each other, I don't know what they're going to talk about. So that's pretty much how I feel about that situation. And Mama B says their ratings are low and will get even lower. Exactly. With all of the mess and all of the drama that Dr. Heavenly brings to the show, the ratings are still low. And I believe that's because, first of all, a lot of people were upset when they got Mariah off the show. So now she thought that they will be able to maintain the show without Mariah, but that's not happening. And I believe that's why the ratings are so low. So, unless, like I said, they start showing their real lives, and even if they did, their lives are boring if you want to know the truth. You know, I think that Toya will, she's kind of interesting. Dr. Contessa, mm, not so much. And Dr. Contessa talks a lot, okay? When she did that sit down with Sweet Tea, Sweet Tea didn't get any words in. Dr. Contessa did all of the talking, okay? Um, but I guess we're gonna have to just wait and see, because that's going to determine a lot of things, whether or not Sweet Tea decide to come back. So right now, I think she's in a good place, her and Dr. G, and I think they already made their decision, but they're going to hold off on letting us know what their decision is. Nobody has gotten their contracts yet, so nobody knows who's going to return. So I guess we got a couple of more episodes before, you know, the reunion will play. So then after that, I think that's when they'll find out if their contracts were renewed or if they decide to stay on the show. But I'm definitely going to keep watching, because um I do like the show. So I'm definitely, going to keep watching and see how all of this plays out. So Dr. Heavenly, with all of the drama that played out on social media, she's just acting like nothing happened and she's just going on with life. So I think that, maybe she's looking at it like everything will just blow over and everybody will forget about what she said. And Mama B says, hopefully it's not Dr. Heavenly. I hope so too. But if they take Dr. Heavenly out with so many people being gone, like if Sweet Tea leaves, Phaedra's already gone, they're going to have to bring in some new doctors. So that's going to be a whole process. They might have to do what Real Housewives of Atlanta did and almost recast the whole entire show. And I would be okay with that. But if they brought Mariah back, I mean, I think a lot more people would start back watching. I think that they really should bring Mariah back, and that will definitely kick things up a notch if they brought Mariah back. So hopefully they have some type of wild card because otherwise this show is not going to survive if they don't make some changes in fast. Okay. So guys, that's going to be it for my recap of this week's episode. And Sharon said, yes, a recast would be good. And Mama Bees says that she agrees. I mean, they did it with Real Housewives. You know, this is a Bravo show. So I think they need to do the same thing with Married to Medicine. Recast the whole show and maybe bring back, a couple of the main cast members and just start off with a whole new cast. Now, drop down in the chat and let me know if you would like to see Mariah come back and if you think Mariah coming back would save the show. Because one thing Mariah isn't going to do is allow these people to play in her face, just like Dr. Contessa. Dr. Contessa should stay just because we need somebody to go against these mean girls. But they need to get rid of Dr. Heavenly, bring Mariah back, keep Contessa, and maybe even this new girl Mimi, because if there's other people that she can relate to, she doesn't have to side with the mean girls. And Aries girl said Mariah would save it, but she's not coming back. Yeah, I don't think she's coming back either. But Aries girl, if they did a recast, I think she would come back. I think if they got rid of Dr. Heavenly, she could deal with Quad, even though Quad is not married to medicine, so she might need to go too. And Mama B says, yes, I love Mariah. And Sharon says, yes, I love Mariah. I need to drop down in her comments and ask her if there's any possibility that she might be willing to come back to the show. Because at this point, I think that that's going to be the only way to save this show is to bring Mariah back. It's her show. So if they did a recast, I think she would come back because she knows how to get the right people. Even though she made some mistakes with Dr. Heavenly and Quad, now that she's watched everything play out and the show has turned into something that she didn't want for her show, I think that she would come back, help them to recast the show, and she would come back to the show. They can also bring Buffy back. And Aries Girl said Mariah would bring some class back to the show. Exactly. And she could absolutely help them to recast this show. And Sharon said, Aries Girl podcast, I agree. Yes, when they started letting Dr. Heavenly muddy up the waters, that's when everything changed. And Mama B says, did y'all see Mel extended her 50% off until tomorrow? No, I didn't see that, Mama B's. I might have to get me another pair of tights. I'm so in love with those tights. And hey Teresa, thank you so much for being here. And she says exactly, amen, amen, and amen. Yes, we all need to get down because Mariah has her YouTube channel. It was supposed to be with Buffy, but I haven't seen them drop any episodes together. Maybe about a couple of weeks ago, I think Mariah posted something. I can't remember what it was, but we need to go in her comments and see if she has any interest in coming back to this show, because I think Mariah is what this show needs. And Aries Girl said, Mel needs more lip oil. I'm hooked. You know what? I take that back. That's what I need to order. I need to order some lip oil because I think I want the blush and it's always out of stock. So, yeah, I think I'm definitely going to place another order, even though um, I did a lot when she did the last live. But um, Oh, she sold out. Yeah, see, that's what always happens whenever I make up my mind, okay, I'm gonna get me some lip oil. It's always sold out. So my go-to is just to get another color tights. This last time I bought the peach ones, which I love the color. I actually got my nails painted the same color as those peach tights on Saturday. And I bought me a black and white Nike hat and I wore my They're Not Like Us little t-shirt. So yeah, I definitely need me some more, want me some more colors of the tights. Because since I work from home, like, I don't hardly have the need for a whole lot of clothes. So, I just do the comfortable thing. And Mama B says there's 9 likes and 14 in the chat. Please hit the like button, please, and thank you. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and end this live here. And ooh, Aries Girl says, I spent $300 after the 50% off. Girl, wow. What did you get? Oh, and Q27 and said, I thought she can't come back because she sued the company. I didn't know she sued them. I know she was still getting a check. Hmm, that might be true. I never heard that she sued the company. But I have definitely, every girl spent $300. I've actually spent $400 after all my discounts, but that was in preparation to get ready for my white elephant game. So guys, if you have not done so already, please like this video, subscribe to my channel, and hit that notification bell so that you know each and every time I upload a video. And if you just happen to be catching the replay, make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel as well, and drop down in the comments so that we can keep this conversation going. Thank you guys so much for watching, and bye for now.